Okay, it is time for our classic Christmas tier tray set. This one won by a landslide. I actually was pretty surprised. I thought everybody would vote Grinch. So this was really fun to put together. It actually was a lot harder to come up with all the different things because there's so many things that scream Christmas. So hopefully I brought in all the elements that make you think about Christmas. So just like in all my other videos with my tier tray sets, I paint mine by color. So I have already, if you can see, I've got my white pile here, my red, green, black, blue, and then the deer are brown. So they're kind of on their own. So I've already separated them by color. And let's get started. Let's start with our white. I sent you with 2 big wedges and the other ones are half wedges just because those pieces are smaller. So with the big wedges, I'm using on my white color and my blue because there are 2 pretty big pieces for both of those colors. So let's start with white. And we'll start with the shiplap ones in case this is your first time. Have your toothpick ready. And then what you do is you dip your wedge into the white paint. And then, first of all, I should start at the very beginning. Open up your box so that you have a protected paint area because you're gonna need to dab your paint off. So use your box or use some paper like I do. Either way, you're gonna need an area. So dip your wedge into the paint and then you're going to dab the excess off because you need to use extremely light coats up and down. Just expect to do at least 2 coats of white. So I usually, with my first dabs, I start like in the middle of the shiplap lines. Oops, I got a little carried away there. I start like right here in the middle of the shiplap lines. And then as I'm bouncing off the paint, then I move over the shiplap lines. That will help me avoid getting paint in them. If you do happen to get paint in, it's totally fine. Just get your toothpick and run it along. It's kind of hard once you hit the letters. Just run it along the shiplap lines and it pulls the paint right out of them. Okay. Dab, 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 just up and down. That's going to be the name of the game for this whole entire tier tray set. If you also do really, really light coats, especially as you're going around the edge, and I'm like dabbing so light, you can tell like around the edges it's a lot lighter. That will help avoid paint spilling down the sides of your pieces. Okay, I'm gonna paint white and then we'll come back when it's time for the next color. So my white, I'm doing the Merry and Bright circle, the shiplap rectangle. This is what the truck came on. The starry sky background, the snow globe cutout, and then the backs of my 4 stockings. I'm gonna do all of those white. I'm gonna do 2 coats, and then we will come back for our next color. Okay, let's go with our blue color next. That is another large wedge. So we're gonna paint our tag blue. This is etched inside. It will be really hard to clean out if you get paint in there. So more than anything, I would do really light coats. So let's turn this down. So I'm going to dip and then obviously away from my white, dab a lot of the excess off. And then I'm not gonna go right over this stamp. I'm going to start dabbing away from it and then slowly and very lightly go over it. Like you can hardly hear my dabs. And if you do that, as you can see, if it focuses, sorry, the sun is completely down right now, you can still really see the stamp really good, and it's not covered at all. So I'm just going to be really careful anytime I get near that stamp to make sure I'm going really light, because you can hear my dabs when I'm not, but when I get close to the stamp. And the same thing with these letters. I'm just going to hit above the letters first. I need to go backwards so you can see, and then really lightly go over them. And if you have to go over them like 3 times, that's fine. Usually 2 is plenty, but just in case. And so there you can see that you can still see the etching really easily. The other 2 pieces, blue, that I'm going to do is this little ampersand sign for the Merry and Bright round and the background of the globe. So I'm going to paint those 2 coats, and then next color. Okay, I'm going to start on the red because I want to show you this piece. This piece has 3 colors in one. So what I am going to do is I'm doing my sleigh red, and then the line is going to be black, and then the deer are all going to be brown. Sorry, I was just looking to see if I want the black to show or only in between. I'm only doing in between. Okay, so I'm going to get my little wedge for the red, and I'm going to dip and dab off, and then all I'm going to do is go to about here where his hand ends, and then I'm going to be really careful because you can see the deer's leg come through the sleigh. So I am just going to carefully go around it. And I pinch my wedge to kind of round it to make it easier to do those little details. And if you accidentally get some over, because I did, it's fine because you're just going to paint over it. You can see how I got a little bit on, can you see, on his leg right there. So once it dries, I'll probably just use my sandpaper to sand it just a little bit, and then paint it brown. So I'm going to paint all my pieces red that are going to be red, and then I will come back when it's time to do black so I can show you how I go in between, just in case you have questions on that. So let me do that, and we'll come back in next part. I forgot to mention, so these really little pieces, like these little letters, that is what your tweezers are for if you're new to tweezers. So dab and dab off the extra, and then with the tweezers I just pinch the letter. I'm not going to pick it up, I'm not going to like hold it down or anything. I just pinch it so that when I am, and it just helps hold it down so that when you're dabbing, if you don't do that, then it's going to come, the letter will come up with your wedge. So this just gives you a little extra hand so that you're not getting paint all over your fingers. And it goes really quick. Like so. Okay, I'm gonna give everything one more coat, and then we'll come back to paint the deer lead. What is that called? I don't know, the string. Okay, for the black pieces, I'm doing the bottom of the snow globe, the truck grate, the tires, and then the leash. Does that sound right? I don't know. I'm sure once I'm done with this, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what it's called. But right now I can't think of it. Okay. So I'm going to do the same technique of dab, dab, dab. And then I wish I could get closer, but I need to be kind of close to this. I'm just going to use the very corner of the wedge to get close to the deer and his hand, and kind of pinch and bend your wedge just so that you're using the very edge basically. And that's it. Bounce, bounce, bounce. The ticket is going to be making sure that you don't have too much paint on your wedge, otherwise it's just going to spill everywhere. But like I said before, worst case scenario, because see, some got over on the deer, it's okay. Just paint over it. And I don't expect mine to be perfect, and you shouldn't expect yours to be perfect either. It takes away all the fun. Okay, so there's that. And then I'm going to paint my black pieces. And then I'm going to do my green. I'm not going to come back on here because it's the same technique. And then as far as the brown, I'm not coming back on here either because I'm going to do the same technique with the brown. I'm just going to be really careful with the wedge. I actually will probably use, so the wedge, there's this side that I normally use. For the little legs, I'll probably use this just because it's so much skinnier. And so we'll just come back on when it's time to glue everything together. Okay, I'm on limited space here, but if you're at home, because I've got projects all around me because I'm trying to get everything painted tonight, I suggest taking your box or whatever you painted on, if there's still wet paint on it, and moving it out of the way so you don't accidentally put your stuff in wet paint. I'm just gonna have to try to be careful, and I will for sure drop something in the wet paint. Wash your hands when everything's all dry so that we don't transfer paint onto our done pieces. I took my toothpick at the very end, and you honestly can't tell unless you're up close, but I know it's there, so I will be excited. And I put a little red dot on his nose. I don't know if you can even see it, but I thought it was a really cute detail. So another thing you can do, I did not originally plan on making this a rustic piece. It would look so cute rustic though. And you don't even have to like sand it with like darker colors. You don't even have to do it rustic to add this detail. I just am not gonna add it to mine unless at the end I decide to. But if you dab your white the wedge that you used for your white paint, dab it off a ton so there's hardly anything left, and then very, very lightly on the edges of your tree, you can make it so it looks like there's snow. Okay, let's get ready to put this together. Normally I put my pieces like together before this step, but I'm kind of unorganized today. Let's do our snow globe. Okay, so we have the back of our snow globe. I'm gonna kind of tilt this so that you can see it. The lighting is so bad. And then I'm gonna assemble it before I put any glue down. Where did I, right here. Okay, and that's our snow globe. You know, it'd be really cute if you got like a white chalk marker or something and you wrote your last name right there. Okay, a little super glue goes a long ways. I say this in every video and I'll never stop saying it. Do not open your super glue over your pieces. Pressure might build up, and then if it spits out, it's gonna ruin it. So, and then when you tip your glue over, I always do it up and off to the side to make sure that I don't get on pieces. A little goes a long way, so I am just going to do one line, just like that. And then line it up with the guided outline, and it's probably good to go. And then this, you don't need to glue every single piece. I'm just going to probably go like line, line. I'll do a quick outer line and then call it good. So people are texting me right now. And then line up. And then that's good. And then we've got our fun little snow globe. Okay, I'm gonna put that off to the piece, or off to the side. Oh shoot. I say, let's do the tags. There's only one piece, but I need to go cut twine and get my beads so that we can string that. So we're not doing that one next. Let's do our truck. So we need our shiplap rectangle, our truck, our tree. So this is why I like to line everything up, because I want to keep it as even top and bottom and side to side as I can. So I like to lay it out so I know where my stuff is gonna go. And then that looks a little uneven. And I just eyeball it, and that's totally fine. Okay, I'm going to glue down my tree first. So when you're happy with where your truck is, if you leave the truck there, I'm gonna hold the truck down while I push the tree down so that now my truck has a guide. And then just, I couldn't tell if the super glue was coming out. Pick and choose where you wanna put your lines. And then the tires. This I'm like hardly squeezing at all. And mainly using what's left over on the tip of the super glue. If you feel like when you're squeezing, you're like, oh shoot, I accidentally got way more than I planned on, you can dip it off to the side, and that's gonna get most of the glue off. I might have accidentally got all my glue off. Nope. And then this, I'm just gonna do like right in this middle. And then just put it right there. Aww, vintage truck and Christmas tree. Okay, let's do our merry and bright, because this uses a technique that may be new to you, unless you've done other tier trays, then it is not. Okay, so these pieces are really skinny. So if you hold them and you're trying to glue, you are 100% going to glue your fingers together. So off to the side where you're not gonna stick your hand in it later, not from personal experience do I know this, you are going to, oh, I should do it where you can see. This is a little close for comfort, but I'm gonna do it right here. I'm going to just spill a little bit of super glue, and I'm going to take my letter and I'm going to dip it, and I'm going to dip the excess off like that, and then line it up and press down. And this is usually good for a few letters before you need to refill your super glue. I always tell people, if you really hate super glue, I think it's great. But if you hate it, you can always go get some wood glue. It will last you forever. And a little tiny paintbrush, and you can paint the wood glue onto the back. The pro of that is you have some wiggle room. So if you glued it down incorrectly, wood glue doesn't dry for like 20 minutes. So if you glued it down incorrectly, you can lift it back up and you can wipe it off and clean it up, and no one will be the wiser. Super glue, But then the bad part about that is if you accidentally bump it, well, number one, it's more of a pain to apply. And two, if you accidentally bump it and you don't know, once it's glued down because you have to wait for it to dry. And 20 minutes is the minimum. I think it's up to an hour. And then it's fully cured after like a day or something like that. But with these little pieces, I'm sure it'd be fine within an hour. Super glue. It is instant. You can super glue your super glue to your table. But anyways, it's instant. You can enjoy your project right away. But I don't know anybody who hasn't super glued their fingers together, myself included. It's just kind of like a rite of passage, I guess. Make sure you are straight. Okay, a little bit more. I'm hoping I can finish this. That's why I'm kind of going quickly. If I'm going too fast, you might need to pause. My daughter went to a football game tonight, and I'm in charge of picking up all the girls after. And so I'm really trying to get these done before I gotta go and get them all. Charlie, no. Okay. How fun. Oh my gosh. How fun is this? This is also going to be an insert as well. I don't know why I said that. Because if you're seeing this video, you already have your stuff, so you already know. Okay. Let's do our starry background. Okay, the funnest part about this is there's cutouts. And so if you put twinkle lights on your tier tray, you're gonna see the lights come through, and that's gonna be exciting. Okay, so eyeball where you want this to go. It is going to go overlap. So you don't need to put glue here or here. So I'm just gonna make a mental note. I'm basically gonna stop my super glue like on his bum, and then just start with like Santa's face, basically. I'm not even gonna attempt to glue the leash. I'm just going to do, so I'll do half of Santa and then the deer. And at this point, I'm not even squeezing. I'm just like whatever was left over. And so I'm gonna tip my super glue up so it does not spill out, and just kind of do the leftover on the string. And then eyeball where I want it to go. And hold down. Boom. So cute. Okay, stockings. So I did mine 2 red and 2 green. Obviously you don't have to do them opposite, because you can do that when you string them. Do you know why I did stockings? I bet you do. Because the stockings were hung. And this is the, why do I want to say banner? But banner sounds wrong. I think it is the banner. You guys, something is wrong with my brain. I'm not joking. I wish I was. I say it lighthearted, but it really is. I am having the hardest time remembering things, and I'm actually forgetting things, like big things. It's not normal. Oh my gosh, this slid, and I will be so mad because the super glue is gonna dry. This is why I struggle with videos, because I'm just sitting in this room with my dogs talking to myself. I should have somebody come over and paint while I paint. Did I finish my sentence? I said the stockings were hung because it's a banner. Yes, I did. Bam. Here's your cute little stockings. Boom. Okay, the tag. I need to go and cut some twine and some beads, or actually I'll probably take apart one of my other ones. So the tag is super easy. The only thing you have to glue down is Santa. So same thing. I'm not going to hit every single part. I'm just going to do like the fatter pieces and then not squeeze whatever's left over, hit the skinnier. So here's the fatter pieces, boop, boop, and then just whatever's left over on the tip. And then I'm going to eyeball it to be somewhat straight, but it is a bouncy script to camouflage any unevenness, if possible. Wha-bam. Okay, I'm gonna go and probably take apart one of my other tags so I can reuse and recycle. Okay, I'm not gonna show you how to make the tassel and the tag. I actually have a video that shows you that. So if you're brand new or if you need a refresher, go watch that one. I'll quickly go over it to make the tassel. So I'm going to be sending you a baggie with this tag. There will be 3 different lengths of twine. The one that's 6 foot long and the shortest one is for the tassel. So you're gonna get the 6 foot long one. I line the string up with the bottom of my palm and then just wrap, 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 wrap. And then once it's all the way wrapped, slide it off so you're gonna have this long oval. And then the shortest piece, which is this, you're gonna wrap around and tie it, and then you cut to make the tassel. Now, to string the beads, the second longest, shortest, whatever you wanna say, twine is to string the beads. So you're going to tie the string through the loop of this tassel, and that's how it begins. That's all on the tassel video. So go watch that. Just a reminder that if you put tape on the end of your twine, that's going to reduce a lot of frustration in stringing your beads. So I'm just going to tie this on. I'm going to basically move the tag. This just basically is trial and error, I think. Maybe there's a better, more scientific way. But I basically, as I'm slowly tightening the knot, I'm moving the tag closer to the bead so there's not a huge, huge gap. Oh, and I took the tape off. I'll have to restring it for my next kit when I reuse my tassel. I've made so many of them and I just don't want to anymore. Okay, so then we just have our fun little tag. These would be super cute if you wanted to take the time to paint them like red, white, or red, green, red, rum. Whatever colors you want to do. So that's it. That's your tier tray. I hope that you enjoyed making it, and please reach out with any questions you might have.